Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So I'm going to wait a couple of minutes for people to join. And while we wait, I want to encourage you all to follow me on Instagram at New Pos Blog. Also, I want to encourage you to like my Facebook page, New Possibilities. I plan to do exclusive content on my Facebook page, exclusive videos and live streams over there. So I hope that you all can like that page, join that page as well. And if you're into reading great books, I want to encourage you to follow and like Reading as Activism on Facebook. We read books written by Black authors about the Black experience throughout the diaspora. So I hope that you all can like those pages and follow me at those pages. So let's get right into it. I'm going to share my screen. And I did an earlier live stream about this particular topic, but there were a couple of errors in it. So I wanted to redo the live stream. So hopefully people can bear with me. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so you all can see this particular article that I'm referencing. So you have a juror, one of the grand jurors that participated in this grand jury hearing dealing with the Breonna Taylor case. He's filed a petition. And as a result of that, you have these recordings being released of the grand jury hearing, and you also have requests from others calling for, they want copies of the transcript and everything. And as a result of all this stuff that's going on, Daniel Cameron issued a statement dealing with this situation. So what I want to do is read a couple of excerpts from this article and then provide my commentary. So it talks about how the judge agreed to allow the attorney general to delay the release of recordings until Friday afternoon. That's the Friday that just passed, and the recordings have been since released. And the juror also filed a motion calling for the release of transcripts on Monday so that the truth can prevail. And of course, Daniel Cameron expressed his opposition to this. He said that the grand jury is meant to be a secretive body. It's apparent that the public interest in this case isn't going to allow that to happen. So despite all those concerns, the attorney general said that he would comply with the order to release the recording. So the attorney for this particular juror basically said that Daniel Cameron misrepresented the deliberations of the grand jury and failed to offer the panel the option of indicting the two officers who fatally shot the young woman. So here you have a situation where the two men, the two officers who shot and killed Breonna Taylor, haven't been indicted by the grand jury. They weren't indicted by the grand jury because that wasn't even presented to the grand jury as an option, according to this juror. And basically you had Daniel Cameron present this whole situation as if it was just the grand jury that decided on their own not to indict these officers for killing Breonna Taylor, when the fact of the matter is the attorney general presented the case in such a way that they didn't even have that option. He directed what happened in this case. So the only person who's been charged with a crime is somebody who's not even connected to the actual shooting and killing of Breonna Taylor. That's Officer Hankerson. And he's charged with wanton endangerment, 3 counts of that, for firing into other apartment units, not for firing at her, not for shooting her, not for killing her. So you have that situation. And then this is what the Attorney General's office said. He said the evidence supported that Sergeant Mattingly and Detective Cosgrove were justified in their use of force after having been fired upon by Kenneth Walker. And then it went on to say, for that reason, the only charge recommended was wanton endangerment. So you had a situation where this AG failed to do his job. Like he wasn't even thinking about prosecuting these two police officers that killed this sister, shot and killed this sister, unarmed Black woman, in a situation that's suspect. You know, they had this no-knock warrant. They went to this house, according to many witnesses. These officers did not identify themselves as police officers. And they come barging into this house, this apartment. And the boyfriend did what any normal man would do, and that's defend himself and his house and Breonna Taylor. So he fired shots at the police officers. He did not know these people were police. As far as he was concerned, they were some invaders, some criminals. They did not have uniforms on. They just barged into his house, according to him, without identifying themselves. So one of the officers was shot. And according to the evidence, it's not even clear if the boyfriend, Kenneth Walker, was the shooter. It's a possible situation where an officer may have shot another officer, or it may be a situation where the officer accidentally shot himself. They're not clear on that. So that's something that has to be pointed out. So you have a situation where another Black person is killed by these police, and you have no justice in this situation. And it's just absolutely ridiculous. So this article goes on to say this. It says, this is something that Cameron said. He said, while there are 6 possible homicide charges under Kentucky law, these charges were not applicable to the facts before us because our investigation showed and the grand jury agreed that Mattingly and Cosgrove were justified in the return of deadly fire after having been fired upon. That's what he said in the press conference when they announced what the jury's decision was. So he's trying to, in that statement, he's trying to make it appear as if they just presented all the evidence and the grand jury just reached the conclusion that there were no homicide charges warranted in this particular case. And that's not the case. This guy presented it as if they did not even have that option. And I'm going to tell you why they had the option. They should have had the option to prosecute these people for homicide. Because here you have a situation where at the very least, you can say that they were criminally negligent. Because here was an unarmed woman. She wasn't posing any kind of threat to the police. She did not have to die. They did not have to shoot her. They were unjustified in shooting at her and shooting and killing her. So that's at least criminally negligent. It is reckless to shoot at somebody. As I mentioned before, like if you have a suspect who's shooting at police and they're in an open area where there are all kinds of innocent bystanders around, that doesn't justify the police shooting those innocent bystanders. And that's what you have in this situation where they are trying to justify the killing of this innocent woman, this innocent bystander. And then you have this situation, man. The circumstances around this warrant are suspect because they say that it was about her having these ties to her ex-boyfriend who was a drug dealer. Turns out that after this whole incident, they did not recover any drugs or money at her house. There is no solid evidence that she was a part of any kind of drug conspiracy. So the whole circumstance of this thing is suspect. So this is a horrible situation. And the thing that makes this even worse is that you have a Black attorney general um, that could have made a difference, could have used his power to render justice for a Black woman who was unjustifiably killed by these police. But instead of doing that, this man decided to play the role of house Negro. This man, even though his skin is Black, his mind is white. This man is a complete sellout. He's more concerned with perpetuating the system of white supremacy than he is concerned about protecting his own Black people. A straight up sellout. And as Tamika Mallory pointed out in her speech, where she called him a sellout, and she said that he was just like those Black people who sold their own Black brothers and sisters into bondage. I think that her statement was on point about that, because that's what this guy is. He is a sellout to his own people. He has sold out his people so that he could have some success. He sold out his people so that his name can be on the news, so that he could have a position of status, so that he could be close to the massa. You know, just like Malcolm X talked about in that famous House Negro speech, when he talked about how the House Negro lived close to the master, lived in the master's house, in the attic or the basement, and got the master's leftover food and hand-me-down clothes and felt like he was important. And that's just how this Negro is. For selling out your people, they give you these little trinkets. They give you a little bit of fame. They give you a position. They give you some kind of status. And this guy is climbing up the ladder of success on the backs of Black people. He's climbing up the ladder of success off of the back of Breonna Taylor. You know, more likely than not, this is just the beginning of his political career. You know, there was talk of him being considered for a position on the Supreme Court. That's how they reward the House Negro. That's how they reward these sellout Negroes amongst us. That's what they do. They give them a position. They give them a title. They give them closeness to their own person. And for that, these people completely sell out the people. You know, here you have a sister killed by these police. And this old Uncle Tom, Uncle Ruckus sellout is more concerned about defending these police that are the murderers, that are the killers, than he is concerned about rendering justice for this sister and her family. So this is an absolute disgrace. It's a damn shame. And hopefully they are able to get these transcripts and find out more about what happened in this case. Because this man presented a lie to the people. He lied to the people by basically suggesting that it was up to the grand jury, that they were the ones that looked at all the evidence and decided not to pursue homicide charges, when he is the one that put the case forward that way to ensure that there would be no homicide charges. This guy is a traitor to his people. He's no different from the slave on a plantation who overheard slaves talking about running away, who overheard about a rebellion and ran and told the slave master about it. Ran and told the slave master, and the slave master ends up brutally punishing those who planned to run away, or killing those who planned to engage in a rebellion. So he's taken on that role. He's taken on the role of other sellouts who sold out our community. You know, like that guy who sold out Fred Hampton for a couple of shiny coins, gave the police a blueprint to the house where Fred Hampton was staying, drugged Fred Hampton, and allowed and enabled those police to murder that brother in cold blood. That's the kind of sellout that you know, this Daniel Cameron is. He's just like the people who sold out Jesus, for a few coins. Just like the people who sold out Malcolm. People who were inspired by Malcolm, people who were taught by Malcolm, ended up being the very people that fired guns at Malcolm and killed Malcolm X. So that's what this guy, Daniel Cameron, is, a complete sellout, a traitor to his people. And he should be ostracized as such. He should be condemned as such. He should be called out as such. He shouldn't be able to go anywhere among Black people without being condemned and ostracized for what he did in this particular case. This case needs to be taken, should have been taken out of his hands. There should have been a special prosecutor, because this guy is a complete coon. This guy was at the Republican National Convention defending Donald Trump, defending racist Donald Trump, with all his history of racism, racist actions, racist policies, and racist statements. But this buck dancing coon was one of those people on that stage designed to put on a minstrel show to prop up a racist, no good bastard clown like Donald Trump. So nobody should be surprised at what's going on in this situation. This coon is married to some white woman. This coon is a flunky of Mitch McConnell, one of these conservative Republicans. So yeah, I just had to get this information to you all about this case. And if there are more developments in this case, I will be discussing those here on this channel. So I'm going to see what you all are saying before I close out. I want to thank you all for tuning in. So I'm asking that people, please like the page, like this particular video, comment, share your views. I want to hear what you think about this guy, Daniel Cameron, and what he did in this case. It's just so outrageous, man. It's just so outrageous and so ridiculous that this guy would help these police get away with killing this sister. So yeah, so please rate, comment, subscribe, like the video, share the video, hit that notification bell so that you'll know when I post new content on here. Peace and blessings, and I probably will be back with at least one more live stream tonight. So I'll see you soon. Peace.